Good evening, Razorback Nation. This is the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm Jason. Thank you all for joining us on our new night and new time. 7 o'clock every Monday night. We will be here live for you guys every stinking week. Dudley, finally kind of caught your breath a little bit. Glad to see you again.
Yeah, we said we wouldn't do this till Arkansas became number one in the polls, and there they
Yep.
are, consensus number one today after a bloodletting at
God.
Baumwalker Stadium this weekend. I have so much respect for Missouri coach Carrick Jackson. I think he does stuff the right way. He answers the call at the end of ball games and gives you quotes even when he doesn't feel like it. But man, that was Missouri's in a tough situation right now in terms of where their baseball program's at. You could arguably say they have the worst facilities, and that's just a team that has no pitching. And Arkansas took advantage of that this weekend via hits, home runs, hit by pitches. I mean, it was just everything.
Brett Iredale, that's his 12th or 13th bean that
15th.
he's took 15th
Yeah,
in the
he's
box.
15th. Yeah, 15th hit, and I think Arkansas. I think I read they're up over the 50 now in hit by pitches, and they do crowd the parade a little bit, but they don't lean over it. So it was just to use a pun here, lights out at Baum Stadium this weekend.
Too bad, or I should say not too bad. Luckily, he's not getting bean like Coach did back on Cheers.
Right. That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. That's a great reference.
I mean, he's drawn either by walk or by hit by pitch. He's drawn 42. 42, is that correct, or is it more than that now?
I think it's 42, but it's one of those. It's just. I think everybody was just wanting to get the games over this weekend that were there. Obviously, it was a cold weekend, windy weekend. Everybody had their ski mask on. That's not really what you expect to be doing in April, but I guess it happens sometimes, and probably catch a little bit better weather in Georgia this weekend.
I wanted to talk about something really quick because you always talk about, not you personally, but just we've talked about, and also other media members, whenever it's cold outside, the ball does not fly. That's not the case. Arkansas scored 51 runs in basically 21 innings over the last 2 days.
Yeah, now you got to give Missouri obviously a little credit there. 14 walks in Saturday's game, 4 hit by pitches, so there was 18 base runners that that they didn't really get hits for. Coach Jackson from Missouri made it clear that it felt like he looked up every time and they were in a 3-ball count, and you can't do that with the way Arkansas's offense is. I mean, Coach Van Horn at the Swatters game was dropping off some good figures today. Arkansas hitting 365 in
Jesus.
SEC conference action. The next best team is 299 in conference action so far, and that's 12 games now, so that's a pretty good body of work. They're hitting 324, something like that overall. It's just been an offense that they went out and got and spent their money well.
I want to say something really quick to the detractors for Nate Thompson. You know what? That guy's the man. I'm telling you what. And I know I was one of them too. And we're giving him a litany of shit after last year. He goes into the dugout, and everything has changed so far with the complexion and the approach that this team has had at the plate. And I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but now we're 30 plus games into the season, and they're pumping out more runs than they did last year. It feels like that they have fixed some of the problems at the plate. And you know what? Props to that guy.
Yeah, Matt, no matter whether it's him in the dugout, whether it was the players that they brought in, a combination of both, him and Van Horn getting mad at the criticism, and that was clear when we talked to Coach after the Swatters Club today. He was asked a question about that. Did it weigh on you? Did it weigh on Coach Thompson? And Coach Van Horn basically said, yeah, if somebody's telling you you're not any good, then get you fired up. And for those who've never seen Nate, yeah, not many of them would say it to his face. I mean, that's a big old boy right there.
Jesus.
And I do think it seems like it's working better regardless of all those factors I mentioned, I mean, 365 in SEC play, and you even take this weekend out of that, and they're still hitting no over 340 in SEC play. And the way they've won ball games in a variety of manners has been pretty good. Just different ways. And to be honest, there's not really a lot of times when 1 through 9 has been on fire. It's been a different little group, whether it's
Yeah.
the Caboose Gang, which is the bottom three of the order, have been calling themselves, or
Love
up
that, by
top.
the way.
Yeah, I mean, Avalon, what a pickup.
Jesus.
Guy hits
That
five
man
home
can't
runs in
coach
the
them.
last 2 years and he's got 10 this year and tied for the lead. And they got through this weekend without even getting really any, that much help at all from the Alloy brothers when you put it over that. And that was the same way at Vanderbilt. And then we know how good a stats those guys have over the year, what kind of great year they're having. I understand they're exploring fishing too. Rumor has it they were buying some fishing equipment the other day.
Man, I'm telling you, I want to send out a good congratulations to Cam Koshel, SEC Player of the Week. 2 straight weekends that he's had multi-homer games. I mean, we talked about the whole, you go back to your girlfriend, you want to show out. He did last weekend at Vanderbilt. This weekend, now he had Missouri. He's just been on fire here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, pretty much the best quote of the year, I think, so far with baseball was him talking about going back to Vanderbilt, it being the ex-girlfriend, and you want to show her what she's missing and all that. And, Coach Van Horn talked about that a little bit today. They Vanderbilt beat him out for his signature, but then he got over there and didn't really get the time and all that he was promised. They brought in some other guys the same way. It was tough on him because he's a loyal kid. That's the way they've raised him. But he had to move into a better situation for him. He had no earthly clue it was going to be playing first base, a spot he's never played in his life. Mostly been a shortstop, and has played the other infield positions except first base. But he's adapted to it. Maybe he's not the greatest first baseman in the world, but he certainly has been adequate over there. And that bat has been talking loudly between him and Davlin, Irondale. What a transfer class they've had coming in here, and you look at it and the pitching has been pretty good, but there have been some bad innings and they've been able to overcome that.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Michael. We got our two stalwarts here that are jumping on with us, Michael Kepsky and Leslie Byram. Mike, real quick, says I'm a little nervous about Gackle. Seems like he's been a little timid. I don't think timid is I think it's more of trust in your location. I think that's one of his deals that he's got right now.
Yeah, and they've talked about that a lot. His location is not where it was last year. There's been too many balls out over the plate. He's great stuff, but sometimes it rides a little too much. You've got to pick your spots. Yeah, he is not the SEC preseason pitcher of the year that he was voted. He
Mm-hmm.
still has plenty of time to work it around. He finds himself, I think, with one bad inning early on, and then has to fight to get out of it. I think I guess the start before last week, he had a pretty good first inning. He gets him 2 or 3 good innings in, he's going to have a great start. But yeah, it is a little worrisome because that was your guy. Now Zach Root's just tossing strikes and doing all that and landing
And Beetlejuice too.
Beetlejuice. Yeah, these guys gave you 4 innings this weekend, but it was in 7 inning games,
Yeah.
which, one of them wasn't scheduled to be a 7 inning game, but they were able to, get what they needed to out of the pitching staff. Obviously, it's maddening probably for Arkansas that Parker Cole, who was having such a good year, is not going to be out till at least May. The 1st of May, they hope to get him back. Hunter Dietz is throwing, but not throwing in a manner that they think his stuff is back, and so they hope to get him back. Gage Wood threw a bullpen, I guess earlier this week, or I guess yesterday, and he's going to throw 2 more. And if that they do good, he's going to come in some type of role on the roster this weekend. You can take 27 players to on a away trip when they go to Georgia this weekend. If not, he'll for sure be back next weekend. And you think that you get him back and just slot him in, uh, and you don't know. You talked about bringing him back in different positions. He could end up being a starter down the line, but they're going to work him in when he first gets back.
Is there a possibility of flipping Jimenez and Gak?
It doesn't look like this at this moment. They plan on Jimenez to be a starter. That's not what their focus is. They like the role he's played. He's now 4-0 because he can close out a game with 3 innings. He can come in the middle and pitch a lot. I mean, he's been the Will McIntyre or the Dylan Carter of these last couple of years. They've been able to fit him into a lot of roles. They are they're going with kids' gloves right now because it's still been 13 months since the Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
In fact, there was somebody at the Swatters Club today or beforehand asked why you went ahead and brought Jimenez in, when it was 18-4 or whatever it was. And Coach Van Horn mentioned, well, we batted, it was like 5-2 and we batted 40 minutes. And once you
Yeah.
get him up and throwing, you can't really not bring him on in if you're going to pitch him. You can't set him back down and all that. So he got an extended bullpen and then he came in and did what he's been doing and asked to throw strikes.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that if you're going to bat for 40 minutes and you bring him up into the bullpen, the only two options are you either sit him and that's it, or you just continue to let him warm up and just bring him in anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes you'd like to go ahead and get the outs, but at the same time, they weren't throwing pitches that were getting over the plate enough to hit.
Yeah. You have to have both sides work on that. And if that's not the case, then, I mean, you just got to take with what you got. Really quick, Leslie Byram also looking forward to the game tomorrow against Arkansas State and Houston. Interesting.
Looking forward to the game. I picked Florida to go all the way. I have great respect for Kelvin Sampson. Been around him a little bit, obviously, just a person and as a coach. His teams are tough. If you saw some video this weekend, you saw the Houston had where they just dive on the floor after loose balls in practice. It's something they practiced. That was allowed them to be tough the other night and come back at the end. I was just about to think it was over with, and then they hit a couple of shots, and they just out-toughed the more talented Duke Blue Devils down at the end. And this is one of those situations which some people think sports writers are ridiculous for saying, they haven't faced anybody or faced any adversity this year. That clearly was something that affected Duke down the line. And Tatum has only been on this, my dog's only been on this earth 5 months, and he knew that Cooper Flagg was going to take that shot. So, I mean, I know you live and die with your stars, but you might have been able to, to get an easier basket with one of those other 4 McDonald's All-America they had on the floor.
All 5 of those starters for Duke are projected in the top 10 of this NBA draft. I saw there was some social media buzz out there about Cooper Flagg possibly coming back. There ain't no way in hell that guy's coming back.
Yeah, you might, if you're not in the first round, you might come back. But if you're the number 1 freaking pick, you're just done here. Even if you have to go to Washington, or Utah or wherever, who's going to have that pick, you go get your 5 years in, and then you go to the Celtics.
Yeah. you got that 5-year track.
Oh, does he not look like a perfect Celtic? So 6'9" forward. They've had a few of those.
Oh yeah. Also, real quick, Michael Kepsky having a leadoff home run threat at the leadoff is awesome. Dude is legit.
Quebec's on. Oui. I mean, the dude can hit. I asked Coach Van Horn in the post Swatters Club's thing today, gaggle or whatever we call it, and asked him what did you see? Because every time we went to the scrimmages in the fall, he was batting leadoff. What was it about him? And he said, well, he just has a lot of energy. It irritates the pitcher. Which is something you want to do. Obviously, he's got some speed. Did not know that he was going to have the pop that he's got, but he's just barreling up so many balls that they're just flying out of there. And, what's interesting is people who came to the scrimmages in the spring saw he had the whole Juan Soto pre-bat thing going on, had a high leg kick. They've reduced that. It's a leg kick. He's been able to still make enough contact, obviously, and to drive the ball to all parts of the field. And he's just been a godsend for them there. And then, as we mentioned, Cam Kozel, I could just go down the list at the amount of people that have transferred in that they've hit on in the portal.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you also what's really been nice too is that with him reducing that leg kick because it's more of a timing mechanism, but he's able to keep his head down a little bit more
Mhm.
steady. And some guys try to leverage some of that with whenever they have that high leg kick with that weight transfer. It doesn't seem like that really has messed with him at all.
Yeah, I've gone back and looked at some pictures that our great photographer John D. James had in the fall and in the and since the games have started, you can see a pronounced difference in his stance. Uh, and kudos to him for listening to his hitting coach and seeing what you can do here. He has turned himself. I saw somebody the other day into a fringe draft pick until somebody that might go in the third round now. Him and Cozil both apparently. It appears to me that Jason may be frozen. Hopefully, we'll have him back on here and live in a minute. But I'll just try to continue to talk before we get him back. But obviously, Arkansas State tomorrow night. Leslie mentioned that it's a team that's 14 and 17, but they did beat Coastal Carolina, which is number 21 in the country, in at least the D1 poll yesterday, in a big win for them. Something that obviously when you play an in-state foe, you're going to get their best shot. Arkansas is going to throw Tate McGuire as the starting pitcher tomorrow night, and then they'll have several others. I'm sure that they'll run through. Want to get a bad taste of the midweek game out of their mouths after the Missouri State one, and really haven't played their best. But obviously, you don't expect them to come out and do just yeoman's work there that midweek. But certainly, we'll try to build off of this weekend and get ready for a Georgia team that could have very well, if they had won this weekend, ascended to number one instead of Arkansas, which is I thought it was pretty funny today. Coach Van Horn said now you can go. The only place you can go down is now, but he does know that it helps with fan spirits, his team spirits, recruiting to a certain extent. Really, a situation to where he and his staff have done a great job in rounding out this team this year. And I think everybody hopes that it won't be the same thing as it was last year. That they'll be playing their best going down the stretch. They certainly are playing well right now.
I am sorry about that, folks. That has been probably. You know what this seemed like? The Tim Walton 30-minute getting kicked out of the game on Saturday type mess. I'm going to tell you what. I think I was about as mad as he was.
Well, that was that was excellent. That was the flashback to the older managers in Major League Baseball before reviews where they were able to kick dirt and do all that. He threw the hat down. You can't be picking your hat up and then dusting it off. If you're going to throw it down, you pick it back up, but don't be dusting it off. You got to leave some on there.
Exactly. I feel like that. I feel like I was just in that stronghold there for just a second. I want to get over to Coach Musick. Her very first portal transfer signing is a Razorback legacy, and I was really excited to see her make a transfer from Kansas here.
Yeah, an experienced one. Yvette Mayberry will be playing her 6th year of college basketball. She was only able to play, I think it was 8 games last year before hurting her knee. Coach Musick said all the right things in her introductory statement about her. It's kind of a reach to the pass. Did just notice earlier today that while there have been 7 Razorback players that have entered the portal, one has gotten back out. Christina Sanchez has decided she's going to return. I think you may see a few of the others do the same thing now that they've had time to talk to Coach Musick and see what she's like and all that. But obviously, she's got a challenge just like Coach Cal had when he came in here last year. Got to build a roster pretty quick. Been kind of quiet in that regard, but I expect we'll see some movement in these next couple of weeks.
I think so too, because at this point, I think that she wants to strike the iron while it's hot. She's a fresh face. She's somebody that is got a lot of energy. And I'm not saying that some of these coaches in the SEC don't, but she has some renewed energy coming in and saying, hey, you know what? This is a team that I want to create. I want to form together, but I also have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas that can help not the program, but the person build as a basketball player.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. I think it's till the 23rd that the players can visit and the portal will still be open. She's got some time to build things. Anybody who thinks she's just going to, take them to the Final Four next year, doesn't know where the program, doesn't really know where the program was at.
No.
But she seems like the dribble drive offense and the excitement that she wants to bring in the program will be beneficial and something that fans could be excited about as they grow with this team, which I think is probably the best way to put it.
This is going to be a little bit of a tough comparison, but I want to ask you this because you've been around the program for quite a while now.
I'm old, you can say it.
I wasn't going to say old. Come on, now you're young.
61 is old, man.
91's old. You still got 30 years, my friend.
Yeah.
And Tatum's like, hey, my dad's not old. He's young. He keeps up with me. Whenever Mike Neighbors took this program over after Jimmy Dykes left, do you think that they're kind of in that same spot with Kelsi Musick coming in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation. The program had gotten into a losing way, and this happened at the tail end of last year with Coach Neighbors' team. Obviously, losing the last 6 down the stretch, and then it just, didn't really work. You look at I think I figured up the other day, they've won 3 of the last 22 games against conference opponents, and also. That is not something that you expect to happen at a university who competes in the SEC. And if it does, you usually have a change. And when you have a change, you usually have a flip over the roster. That's exactly what's taking place right now.
Yep, it has. And I also want to look at what the women's softball team did this weekend,
and today.
The series, and today too. Yes. I'm going to tell you what, they made a tear through Florida. They just said to hell with it and watched the brimstone and fire fall. And 3rd straight series against Florida that they've won, 2 on the road there at the Swamp now. I feel like this team has got Florida's number a little bit.
Yeah, I think it is now 10 of the last 13 that they've beat Florida. They went down there and obviously took a series, and I got to give them a lot of credit because when Florida came rolling out there on uh, I guess Sunday and hit a grand slam when it hit 4-2. I wondered if they would stay together and stay at it, and they did, and got themselves in a situation to win the ball game. Bree Ellis gets a lot of attention, as she should, because of what she's accomplished here. Courtney Day as well, but they're really hitting up and down that lineup. Ella McDowell with some great hits this weekend. Reagan Kramer is kind of an understated superstar.
She
Uh,
is.
Jimmy is getting a lot done, as they call her, and then you're pitching. Peyton Burnham's done a good job. Robin Heron obviously had a big first game, and you got to give Kim Harrison some credit. Reese Burline did not have her best stuff. Walked three batters. Got the bases loaded. Robin came in and gave up a grand slam, but then, excuse me, Cam came in and gave a grand slam, and then just worked her way through the next six innings. And unlike the men's team, the women may have be supposed to play seven, but they ended up playing extra innings a couple of times this weekend.
They did. Also, Lexi King, she did a great job today against North Florida.
Yeah, and Florida native, I believe that was pitching back at home. That I think it's probably one of the reasons they stopped back by on their way home to play at North Florida, which I watched the game, and we want to give a lot of credit to their play-by-play guy. He did I think he did his homework a lot, and I enjoyed listening to him for the most part. Some of these you don't get, not everything was great, but I want to give him credit for what he did. Now he has visited here in Arkansas twice. He's been to Little Rock once and Fayetteville the other time. So I wonder which one he enjoyed most.
They gave some props to Hunter Cornelius, the
Yes.
signee for softball. 87 games in a row that they've won after, was it hitting a home run or was it not trailing? I can't remember the exact
I
stat, but
think
he,
it's the stat was something along the lines of when they've hit a home run to go ahead.
that's
Uh,
it. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that's minute information there that got to give him a lot of credit. He's done a wonderful job since he showed up, and is getting a he's getting to watch quite a turnaround from a 1-6 SEC start to 1-5 SEC start to what they've got going now. They're slowly working their way back up the standings, and you may not still be able to catch Texas and Oklahoma at the top. I guess it is now, but you put yourself in position, vaulted to number 7 in the in Softball America's poll. You put yourself in position to get one of those 8 national seeds, which is huge,
Mhm.
and something that you'd obviously Tatum is barking about and excited about.
I would say, yeah, he's pretty excited about that. So, really quick, I want to go over this. It has to do with the NCAA ruling. It looks like everything is still on track for rev share to start on July 1st. Uh, I was reading the tweets from Ross Dellinger a little bit ago.
Hmm.
Basically, what it kind of come down to was that the judge has a problem with future athletes that are coming into the NCAA. There's a 10-year cap, it looks like. They don't want kids that are 14, 15 years old getting promised money, coming in, going to that school and not getting it, and then them going being able to go back and sue the NCAA. Now the NCAA has basically said, "Hey, this is just a uh, voluntary league that you can be in, and if your state does not comply with these NIL rules, we're going to kick you out."
I've read. I don't think that I understand fully. I watch a lot of Perry Mason suits, all kinds of things, but Law and Order, and I get the criminal element and all that, and you know, uh, but it's just one of these things that they make it awfully hard to understand everything. Now, I do realize that the judge is, the way I understand it, trying to make sure that what are 10-year-olds right now
Yeah.
will not be suing the NCAA But it's one of those things. Make a ruling, let it go. Somebody's going to sue down the line either way.
Yeah.
Uh, you can't. And by that time that judge is gone, make a ruling, stick with it. You can't worry about the future. You got to worry about tomorrow. And right now, this thing needs to be handled, needs to be taken care of. It's gone long enough, and they need to have some rules. It's that
Yeah.
simple. Have some rules about how this thing's supposed to work instead of just throwing it out there like they did.
What I was so mind boggled about was that they're litigating on a 10-year-old, like you were saying. I understand that they want to make each class, like, if you're 14, that's your class. If you're 13, that's your class. 12, that's your class. But whenever you go 10 years down the line, everything is different. The world's going to be different. The sports are going to be different. How things are going to be handled are going to be different. And they're trying to litigate in 2025 what it's going to be like in 2035. You can't do that. I think you have to revisit this every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and the one thing I am sure of about this is that I will retire before they get it totally taken care of, totally worked out. 10 years, I'll be sitting on a beach somewhere, or on a golf course, and they'll still be litigating it. But I do think it's important to go ahead and make a decision, get it out of the way, and move on, and not worry about what's going to happen down the line. Make a decision now. You don't, as parents, kick the ball down the road. So don't do it as a judge either.
Exactly. Also, too, I want to do a quick cross promote next Saturday at Torchy's Tacos. There's going to be a huge football bash, Dudley. Marshall Foreman, Donnie Centers, Limbo Parks, Terry Tatum, Luther Franklin, and also Alyssa Orange is going to be there. Let me put this up real quick here for you. I think this is going to be good. There it is. I'm going to take us off.
It's there's going to be a lot going on the 19th. So
yes, there is. There sure is.
Softball at 10:30, football at 1, baseball at 4.
Hey, and we're right in the middle of the madness. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to have a great time. Also, if you guys stop over at Torchy's Tacos, mention Hogville, you'll get yourself a free taco. Come over, see some Razorbacks. Come over, talk to us as well. So we're going to have a great time while we are there. So be sure to check that out. Man, let's get you out of here. We got some basketball to watch.
Absolutely.
I got Florida tonight. I got Florida by 8 points. Let's go 78-70 Florida. I think they're going to score some points tonight.
Yeah, and what's I had no problems whatsoever with Duke losing the other night, but I did realize that I cost myself a shot at the TV from Big Whiskeys. So, but that was what a two really good Final Four games, and I expect we're about to have another good one.
Yep. And also, did you see that video with them not letting Hakeem Olajuwon on the floor after that Duke game?
Jeez, read the room, people. Read the room.
Singularly, the most popular, other than Clyde Drexler, the most popular Houston Cougar, and they would not let him on the floor to celebrate.
But they'll let Jim Nance.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, you guys, for Dudley, myself, Jason, I want to thank you guys for jumping on with us tonight. Again, next Monday, 7 p.m., Arkansas Diamond Report, and we will see you then. Go Hogs.